Hey guys, it's Derek. Doing something pretty cool today. Hope you guys enjoy it. A little bit of backstory. About 3 weeks ago, I think, it's pretty close to 3 weeks ago, I was watching Pratt Family Homestead's live stream that they do. I think it's every other week. And they had a giveaway, or a trivia kind of thing. And I ended up getting the answer right. So my prize was they put $20 towards an order from Baker's Green Acres farm, and they do free range poultry and pasture pork and grass fed beef, which is pretty cool. I think they're up in Michigan. So if you live nearby, check them out. And they also have a website, which is how I got mine. But yeah, I ended up getting a few things from their site, and everything went well as far as, getting it ordered and shipping and everything. She actually added a little card too, which is cool. But yeah, I'll show you what I got here in a second. I've got it over in the kitchen ready to go. But a couple of things I'm going to do, I got pork shoulder, or a pork roast, which is from the pork shoulder. And then I got some bacon and some ground pork and some raw lard or pig fat. It's the same thing. But I'm thinking what I'm going to end up doing today is I'm going to take the pork shoulder and the raw lard or the pig fat and make my own sausages, because I've got all the stuff I need to do that, and I thought that'd be kind of cool to make a video out of. So I'm gonna get set up in the kitchen and we're gonna get started. Okay, so here's all the stuff that I got. I got some bacon, about a pound of bacon, so it looks pretty good. And I'll be using that, obviously for the bacon, but also I keep the drippings from the bacon, or the bacon grease, and use that to flavor different things with. So all of it's going to get used. I got some ground pork. I'm thinking about doing maybe some pork burgers. I hadn't really decided on what I was going to do with that yet. And then the two that I'm going to be working with today is the pork roast, and get a better look at that after I get started. But almost a 4-pound roast, I think, because it's got the package on it, or the weight on the package. And then got some pig fat, and you can do quite a bit with this. This is 5.77 pounds, so I'm going to be using quite a bit of it for sausage. I'm also going to probably end up using a little bit of it for regular lard, and then yeah, if I have any left over, I'll figure out something else to do with it. So, but yeah, I'm going to end up using about maybe a pound or two. I need to look at my recipe for the sausage. But yeah, going to be using this quite a bit. If I remember right, these two were from, I'm probably going to mispronounce this, but Magdalista hogs, which is a heritage breed hog. So it's not going to look the same as what you'll get in the store. I've already noticed that this is it's a lot darker red than I'm used to seeing for pork, which not a bad thing. So now I'm going to get the rest of it back in the fridge and get started on the pork shoulder. Okay, so I got it out of its package, and like I said earlier, it's a lot darker red than I'm used to seeing for pork. And I thought about it when I was getting the camera set up, and I actually had some pork shoulder from another project I was working on a few days ago. So I've got a piece of it. As you can see, try to zoom in a little bit. There's quite the difference. Yeah, the baker's pork is a lot darker red. Got a pretty color to it, really, compared to the. I think I got this at Costco. Maybe, I can't remember. But yeah, the store-bought pork shoulder almost looks a little anemic, really. So yeah, I'm going to put this up, and then we're going to get started on that. So what I'm going to end up doing first is there's a bone right here. I need to get that out. And at the same time, I need to trim off some of this fat. I will probably end up using it in the sausage for sure. But I need a better idea of how much weight I have as far as the lean meat goes on this, because the recipe that I have, it's from another YouTuber actually. Scott Ray is a butcher in the UK that I've really liked his channel, but his ratio on sausages is 70% lean meat to 30% fat. So I'm gonna try to stick to that as close as I can. So I'm just gonna, there's like a natural seam right here between two muscles that I'm gonna take advantage of. But yeah, the style sausage that I'm gonna be doing, he does his a little different than what you normally see over here in the U.S. He adds, it's called rusk. It's similar to breadcrumbs, as I understand it. But but he also did a video recently of what to use when you don't have rusk, and he used rice, which is similar to a type of sausage that I know of from down in Louisiana called, I think it's pronounced boudin, or boudin, that also has rice in it. And it's a little bit of a filler to do it that way, but you end up with more sausage, or more sausages, I guess. And I'm all for that. So, okay, so I got it trimmed up, and got all the fat over here, and I'll most likely throw this in with the sausages as well. And then I got these the lean parts. Get it in the camera. Gives you a better idea of what the meat looks like. Looks really good so far. Just I haven't done a lot with trimming up big pieces of pork, but yeah, this looks pretty good to me. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start cutting these into pieces. I'm using my KitchenAid meat grinder, so all this stuff needs to be able to go down the hopper. So I'm going to cut it into strips so it's easier to do. And once I get done with that, I'm going to put all these on the baking sheet that you saw earlier, and I'm going to throw it in the freezer. And the reasoning for that is meat and fat especially grinds a lot easier when it's cold. And I'm not going to freeze it, but I'm going to, it's going to stiffen up a little bit. And by doing that, it'll be a lot easier to grind. you'll end up with a better looking product at the end. But yeah, I'm just cutting it into kind of similarly sized pieces. Yeah, look at that. That's dark. Cutting it into similar sized pieces so they all kind of freeze up or firm up about the same rate. But yeah, I'll throw these in the freezer for half an hour. The fat will be pretty solid by then, and the meat will be firm but not frozen, is what I'm looking for. Okay, so I'm going to put these on a sheet tray. I'm going to cut these up into smaller pieces too, but yeah, I'm going to cut these up into smaller pieces. I'm going to put all of this on a sheet tray, and I'm going to pop it in the freezer for about an hour. Almost forgot. I actually have to weigh this. So, I need to zero out my scale real quick. Oh, or turn it off. There we go. Okay, so I got almost dead on 2 pounds, which is good. And here, I'll add some of the other trimmings to it too that have meat on them, but they're more fat. There we go. Okay, so with pretty much all the meat in there, it's going to be pretty close to 2.5 pounds, which is perfect for the recipe that I'm going to be working on. And I almost forgot, I haven't cut up the fat that I'm going to use from Baker's. I'm going to be cutting up about 1 pound of it, and I'm going to be doing it exactly the same way that I did this. Okay, so I've got everything set up. I just pulled the pork and the pork fat out of the freezer. It's been a little over an hour, but I've been doing some other stuff. And I pulled it out and I pulled it in the fridge for a little bit just so I could thaw out just enough because it was just a little bit too stiff. But so I got my stand mixer here with the grinder attachment and everything. On the grinder, I've got the coarse plate on. With these, there's a coarse plate and there's a fine plate. I'm just going to use the coarse one for the whole thing. So yeah, I'm going to go through and grind all this up, and then I'll add the spices, and then I'm going to add the rice for to kind of bulk it up a little bit. So I will get started on this. Alright, field trip. So that's what I've got so far. Looks really good. Nice red color to it. And the fat's really nice and white. So this should turn out really well, I'm hoping. So I'm going to throw you back on the tripod. Okay, so I've got 1 pound of fat. I've got 2.5 pounds, roughly, of the pork shoulder. I've got a few extra ounces of the fat that came with the pork shoulder, but I didn't want to leave it out. And now to that, I'm going to add, and this is based off of Scott Ray's recipe, I'm going to put 2 pounds of cooked rice in. And he specified that the rice needs to be cooked, but not like you would normally eat. It's got to have a little bit more water in it, but it can't be like sopping wet. So I've got the rice weighed out here, so I'm going to dump that in. And then he has a spice mix that I'm going to use for this. It's fine salt, nutmeg. He used mace. I couldn't find any, so I'm using allspice instead. I saw that that was a decent substitute. And ground coriander. And I'll probably just post a link to the video that I'm doing this off of in the description box. Because yeah, the amount makes way more than you need, but I plan on making more sausage, so it'll work. So I'm gonna go ahead and throw this in like so. And then I'm going to do a really quick mix on this, and then throw it back in the fridge for it to cool off. And then I'll run it through the grinder one more time, and then we'll be ready to start casing. Okay, so yeah, I just mixed that up fairly well. Not great, but it'll mix together a lot better once I put it through the grinder again. So I'm going to throw this in the fridge for a little bit, and we'll be back. So, in the interest of time, I went ahead and sent it through already. So now it's ready to go. As you can see, I've already got the casing on and the sausage stuffer attachment. So I'm going to get started on this. The lighting's probably not going to be the greatest on this, but I'm left-handed and I can't operate the controls if they're on the others. If I have it flipped around and they're on the other side. So I'm going to get started on this, and hopefully I can get this done really quickly. Alright, so I finally got all of it done. This one turned out pretty good. This one I had a little bit of technical issues with the KitchenAid. But it was the KitchenAid, and partially my fault, not the pork or not the sausage. So what I'm going to do now. Okay, so I was trying to show you a really cool way that I learned how to tie off the sausages, and it looks like that. But I apparently had them stuffed a little too full, so right now I'm just twisting them around this way to get the individual links, like that. So I got these, and then this one, which I need to work on a little bit because it's loose and I haven't tied the ends yet. But I got all these from the courtesy of the good folks at Pratt Family Homestead and Baker's Green Acres. Okay, so here's the final product. It's not exactly what I was planning. As you can see, the ones in the middle are brat sized, but I had some issues with my mixer. The KitchenAid with the meat grinder and everything, it works, but I'm sure there's probably a few better options. I might have to look into that another time. But I ended up picking off one of the scragglers, and this actually kind of helps explain the last part of this. I'm going to leave these out for probably another hour. They've been out for, or they've been done for maybe 20 minutes now. And this gives the chance for the casings to dry. And if you don't let the casings dry, they don't hold together as well. So yeah, these are going to sit out for a little bit longer and kind of dry up a little bit. I already took a pen and pricked all these, so the air bubbles, if there were any air bubbles in the sausage or in the inside the casing, uh, the air could escape. But yeah, these are gonna dry, and this is what happens if you're impatient and can't wait. So, so yeah, I picked one off so I could try it on camera. And I put it in, and the casing shrank, and the stuffing came out. So, but yeah, I was nibbling on the loose parts a little bit earlier, and these turned out really well. They taste really good, really good. Um, the you can't tell that there's rice in it at all. Um, they aren't as firm as like a standard kind of American style sausage, but but yeah, they're not bad at all. Like, it's not gonna be very hard to eat these, but but yeah. So yeah, thank you, Pratt family, for letting me get the opportunity to do this. And Baker's Green Acres for sending me the meat and everything. I had fun doing it. Hopefully, I didn't turn anybody away from trying to make sausages, but yeah, this turned out really well. You know, it's not exactly what I had planned, but I still ended up with a bunch of sausage, so can't really argue with that. So, hope you guys liked what you saw, and I'll see you again next time.